Welcome, guys, to another episode of the C Network. I am your host, Bol Mayan, and today we've got a very, very special guest. I'm here today with Akau Jambo, who is a South Sudanese comedian from Juba and is touring right now. And his first time in Australia as well, so I can't wait to hear all his experiences and what it's like growing up back home. So Akau, welcome.
Thank you so much, man.
How are you?
Going? I'm good. How's it going?
I'm very good. I'm so glad to have you, honestly. This was, we had to get it done because I know you're only here for a few more weeks, or only, probably another week.
Yeah, maybe two. 2
more weeks?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Well, I can't wait to get into, all about comedy and how you got started. But before that, I want to start off with where you were born and how that was like growing up.
Oh yeah. So I was born in Kakuma. Kakuma, a lot of people, a lot of South Sudanese that are based here must know Kakuma. That was like the airport for you to come to the West. Yeah, it was a refugee camp in the northern part of Kenya. It's called Kakuma Refugee Camp. That's where I was born in the late 90s, and I lived there a couple of years until we moved out to Uganda. And I grew up in Uganda mostly. Most of my life was in Uganda. About 17 years in Uganda.
Wow. Yeah. And how was Uganda?
Uganda was great, man. It felt like the same. It's just like a different surrounding, but the same concept. Like the whole reason why everyone was in the refugee camp was a temporary place for us to stay until everything is figured out in the country and we can go back. But when some of our family members started going to Western countries and Australia, America, and all of that, they started supporting back at home. So if you have family members supporting you, you don't need to stay in the camp that long. So people started moving to like the cities where you can get better education. And that's how I ended up in Uganda, Kampala. But same concept, temporary place for you to stay in until the country gets better and you go back. Or temporary place for you to stay in until you manage to move to the west of where you're supposed to be. Yeah, but it was good. It ended up becoming, we were supposed to be there for a couple of months. We ended up living there for 17 years. Yeah.
How was that 17 years? Did you end up getting a chance to go back to Sudan at all?
No, not until after 11 or 10 years. Yeah, I only went to South Sudan for the first time in 2013. Yeah, first time I went to South Sudan, and I moved to Uganda around 2003, 2004, if I'm not mistaken.
I love that. For people who've never been to Uganda, what is Uganda known for?
Probably the matoke land. Yeah, they cook a lot of matoke and all of that. It's known for that mostly, and it's a very good place. The weather is amazing there. Very, very nice people. They directly border South Sudan, so our relationship is really like tight. It's like one of those neighbors you fight a couple of times, but it's your people. We're stuck together forever. And I loved it. I loved growing up there, and it shaped most of my life. I always tell people that I'm the man I am today because of Uganda.
I love that. What's your favorite thing about Uganda personally?
So I really when I lived there, I really adjusted and started. I was basically like a Ugandan. I speak Luganda. The food I cooked at home was all Ugandan and all of that. So I think my favorite thing about the whole place would have been the people, man. The people that I lived with, my friends growing up and all of that. I've been friends with them for so long, almost 15 years now, and we still talk and all of that. They're my favorite people. Yeah.
I love that. Talking about people, did you have a big family growing up as well?
Yeah. I'm South Sudanese, bro. I'm Dinka. What did you expect?
How many of you guys?
There's no Dinka man married in the 80s with two children. It's impossible. 2 children and 1 wife. You find out and let me know where you found them. I'm from a family of about 10 kids, bro. It's like about 10, 11 kids, something like that. Yeah, and I'm the 6th. And that's a polygamous family because my dad had about 5 wives, and then all the kids, boys and girls across everywhere. But from my mom, I was the last born. My mom had 3 boys. The boy passed on before I was born, and then I was born later on. So we're only 2 on my mom's side. But in the larger family, it's bigger. It's about 10 of us. Yeah.
I love that, and it is very common for South Sudanese people to have big families.
Yeah.
What does a big family mean to you?
It's a backbone of our culture. It's a backbone of our society. That's we're a socialist society, like a community and all of that. We live together, we work together and all of that. And it means a lot for me growing up and all of that. But again, we come from socialist backgrounds, but now we live in capitalist countries and capitalist economy and worlds and all of that. Adjusting from those two things becomes a little bit of a struggle, which is one thing that our community needs to start discussing, because you can't look after hundreds of people in a country where you have only one job, one paycheck, and all of that. Yeah. So those things are kind of hard for you to adjust. Much as I love everyone around me and everything, you find yourself living in a world where everything is individualistic, and you have to adjust. Like when I travel, go to different countries, I struggle so much to adjust to some of these things as dictated to what I grew up in, like with all the things that you live together, how you look after each other and all of that. Then you go to Western countries where someone will get up here and go have lunch and leave you guys here, and then you call them, yo, where are you? And like, I'm having lunch. Like, what? We don't do that where I'm from. If I'm going for lunch, I'm like, yo, let's go eat. That's the way we do it. So I struggle adjusting those two backgrounds, man.
Yeah, and that's so common as well. I've realized that how individualistic this country is.
Yeah.
But back home, talking about big families, because not a lot of people don't have it here.
Yeah.
But what's the most valuable lesson or thing you've learned from having big families?
Having big families prepares you for the world, because they're the first community you live with before you start moving into a real community. And the way you treat them, the way you grow up with them, everything you do around them dictates how you're gonna go out there and live with other people. Because at some point we're gonna go separately. I always tell my brother this: it doesn't matter how close we are or whatever is going on, or whether we were born by the same woman or something like that. At some point, you're going to move on and make your own family, and I'm going to move on and make my own family. When I move on and make my own family, anyone that I come across in my life and everyone, I have to treat them the same way I treated the brother that I grew up with or other siblings and all of that. So big families prepare you for like a world where you meet other people, as compared to, like, sometimes you find people who are from small families, like 2 kids, 1 kid. They always have struggle like dealing with society, like social anxiety and all of that. Oh, you have like 20 kids in the household. You can talk to anyone in the world.
That is so true. I love that. Before we talk about comedy and you becoming a stand-up comedian, what were you like growing up? What was your personality as a child?
I was a stubborn kid. I was a terrible kid. I wouldn't have me as a kid. That's the truth. My name when I was a kid, they used to call me controller, because I controlled everyone in the family. Like I would anything I want, they would give it to me. Like
when did you start getting called that name? At what age?
Probably when I was like maybe like 2 or 3, something like
that. Straight
at the
back.
Yeah, straight in the back. Like because whenever my brothers, we were still in the camp by then, so my brothers would walk around. They're like a little bit older. They walk around, go find some toys, they go make some things and everything. Then they come home with them, and I'm like, that's mine. They're like, no, it's not. And I'm like, that's mine. And I start crying until they give it to me. And I owned everything. So they would call me controller. I was very, very stubborn. And even growing up, it's still within me. Like even up to now, it's still within me. I like to control. I like to work. If I'm not putting my hand on something, I feel like I haven't put anything in it. So I always want to push and make sure something comes out. Yeah. So that has been my personality ever since I was a kid. I'm jumpy, always looking for this here and there. I need to get this done and that and that. And that's how I ended up getting everything I'm getting in the world. Yeah.
Well, there you go, guys. That was introduction. We'll be back though, so stay tuned. Welcome, guys. If you just joined, I am your host, Paul Mayan, and this is the C Network, and I'm here today with Akau Jambo, South Sudanese comedian. Now I want to talk about how you got started with comedy.
Yeah.
And I want to start off there.
Yeah, how I started doing comedy, yeah. Yeah, like I told you, I grew up in Uganda, man. Spent most of my time in Uganda, and I used my friends, like I told you, I've had friends for a while. We've been friends for almost 15 years, and we used to live in an apartment back at home in Uganda, and we like had a shared kitchen, and every time is cooking, anyone is cooking, you just go in there in the kitchen, just hang out, have a chat and all of that. So there's a day when I had a very crazy day in the city. I don't even know what exactly happened, but I came home with a story that was funny as hell. And I don't remember the story, and that's the sad part. So I walk up to my friend, he's cooking, and I just get the stool, I just sit right there and start talking to him, telling him all these funny things that happened to me in the city. And then he's like, man, you're so funny, you need to try out stand-up. And I don't know, I just looked at it. And a few months before that, I had this was June 2016, but a few months before that, I came across a DVD. Yeah, we still use DVDs. We're not all moving at the same pace. Some of you all are faster than us. This is a third world country. Just give me time. So I came across this DVD. This 2015 December, came across this DVD. It's called Lost in Translation. It was Trevor Noah. I just saw him there with his mic and all of that.
I saw that recently. That was hilarious.
Oh, it was hilarious, bro. It was hilarious.
And it's so old. But I saw it for the first time, and I'm so glad I saw it for the first time this year.
Amazing. I grabbed it, went home, I watched it. I loved it so much, but never thought about doing stand-up. So when my friend told me to do stand-up, I added the two pieces together, and I immediately got a vision of what I would want to do it as, and that's what made it easier for me to get in. It's not like I was gonna find something new that I didn't know about. I'd watched this, and someone told me, let me try it, and I was like, oh, I can do it like this, and then I just went in and tried. Walked up to this theater. The theater sits about 1,000 people, man.
So how long after did you go like, I'm gonna go try it? Did you have to get convinced?
The next week.
So the next week, not much convincing.
Not much convincing. It just clicked. I was in a period in my life where I was looking for something next to do, man.
Okay.
Like I used to work, and I used to be like a broker in a furniture store, and I was 19, 18 to 19 there. I was trying to figure out. I was at the university trying to figure out a lot of stuff in my life. This is the time a few years before then. That's the time that the 2013 war happened in South Sudan.
Yeah.
And when I was working in the furniture store, a lot of South Sudanese flocked to South Sudan for refuge and all of that. And I sold so much furniture while I was there. I was making so much money. And one of my bosses, when he saw how much money I made, he went like, "Oh, this is great. South Sudanese should continue fighting." And that hit me, and I was like, "Nah, it's not a place I have to be. Like, I don't like it here." And I started thinking about just quitting. I needed the money, but I wanted to leave that place. I need a habit to replace a habit. So when I go to 2016 there June, and then I got my friend to tell me that, I just got a habit. I'm just like, you know what? Let me just flip this. This is what I want to do now, and that's why I quickly got into it, just like that. My life was there. I need something else, and I got in.
I love that. And as that happens all the time, people have this thing where like, oh, I want to try this. But sometimes the first time they try, they go like, nah, this is not it. Did you know when you first got up there for the first time that this is it?
Yeah, my first time on stage was so good. It was so good. I performed at the University of Makerere University, prime time show every Saturday. They have like about 500 people. So I had a mentor that helped me write my first 5 minutes. Timothy from Uganda helped me put together my first 5 minutes of jokes, and me and him used to hang out every day because we lived in the same neighborhood. So we would sit down, chat, then go home. So he helped me so much, and he helped me find my voice, because I was looking for a voice and I didn't know what I wanted to do it. Like, I knew I wanted to do it, but I didn't know who I was and all of that. I'm a South Sudanese kid that grew up in Uganda. Everything about me is Ugandan. And I was out there performing like a Ugandan comedian, and he's like, nah, you're not. You're not supposed to be like these people here. You're different. You have a market out there that you can go and explore and all of that. And when I had that, I started talking to my South Sudanese uncles, my friends, just trying to fit back into my culture and my people. So I finally found a voice, and it was so easy for me to see myself at the top. Like, it was so easy. I would just look around and I'm like, nah, it's just a few of us. I can easily get to the top. Kept pushing a little bit more, and I was just there.
I love that. And it's so good that you actually wanted to go back and learn a bit more about your culture so you could use that as material.
Yeah.
I watched a few stuff on YouTube of your stand-up, and you moved around a lot. You went to Kenya, and then you went to South Africa at one point.
Yeah.
What was your favorite location that you performed at?
I want to say Kenya, man.
Kenya.
I want to say Kenya.
Was that the one that was on YouTube?
Yeah, the one on YouTube.
That one was hilarious.
Yeah. I think yeah. Maybe I have more of Kenyan on YouTube.
Okay.
I don't know, but yeah, I think so. It was like about 5,000 people. That gig. I want to say Kenya because Kenya, it was my breakthrough, but it was also like my lowest moment. I got that gig when I was so broke, like I was doing so terrible. Like I was 20 years and I got that gig. I did a gig around the country with some headliner in Uganda, and he watched me for the first time, and he was going to Rwanda to do a show, and he put me on his tour. We went to Rwanda. I did the show in Rwanda. Some other guy spotted me and he said, you should come to Kenya. There's a gig happening in Kenya. And mind you, all of these things are not getting paid. I'm not getting transport or anything like that. but I wanted to get it. I wanted to push myself. When I did the Kenyan gig, I had about $50 to my name. And when I say $50, I mean, if you look back everywhere, that's the only thing I have around me. There's nothing else I have around me. That's the only money I had. And for you to go to Kenya as a South Sudanese citizen, you have to pay. By then, the visa was $100. That's just a visa. And that's for you to just get into Kenya. And if you come back to Uganda, you have to pay another $100 because I'm not a Ugandan citizen. And then I have to pay for my transport and all that, a bus fare. But I didn't have any of that money. And I thought about it, and this always like, it's like whenever I talk to people and they're like, oh, I need this and I can't get it, I'm like, no, you can't. It's how much you need it that dictates how you're gonna get it. I needed it, and what I did, I walked up to the port in where they give out travel documents. Walked up to them and I told them I'm Ugandan. The lady didn't believe. I went to the room. I looked at the lady who was like a mother and all of that. I walked up to her because I knew that was my weak spot. She's gonna help me, and I told her I'm Ugandan, and she didn't believe me. I spoke Luganda to her, and at some point she ended up believing me and gave me the travel document, which meant that I wasn't gonna pay the $200 for crossing the two countries. I was gonna go for free because I'm a Ugandan citizen now. I crossed to that side, so I have like, for the document costed me like $20. I have $30 to my name now, and then I was gonna book a bus fare. I booked one. The one I booked was cancelled because everything was full. And I couldn't get my money back, but they could put me in another bus. They said they could put me in another bus, but they couldn't find a bus. And then I found some guy there was a cargo bus somewhere there, and I spoke to the guy, and then I told the guy I was supposed to be on this bus, but I want to go through. He was a very nice guy. I forgot his name, but I call him, he used to call me Africa. He's you know these black people who are very, very Pan-African, like they're doing too much. That was him.
Yeah.
Every time he sees me, he's like, Africa. You're the true definition of Africa. And I'm like, what about you, bro? You're literally from here. We're not even in America or anything like that. He was just that energy, man. But he just liked me. He liked my attitude, everything. He says, jump on the bus. It was like the four of us in the bus. 3 tan boys, the driver, then 5 of us, then myself. The whole time I'm just listening to this guy tell me about Thomas Sankara, Mandela, Nelson Mandela, Dr. John Garang, and I was listening to these stories for like 12 hours. Yeah, but I wanted to get there. So we go to Kenya. The guy that had booked me, I called him, I'm here. He accepted. He took me to the show. And yeah, I just jumped on the shows like a bunch of other African comedians, jumped on the show like 5,000 people, and I smashed it. And I felt so great after that. That's why it's my favorite moment. Felt so great. After all I went through, I finally reaped what I sowed, and the show was my breakthrough. Everyone saw it, so many followers and everything.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That was Akau. We'll be back, so stay tuned for more. Welcome back to the C Network. If you just joined, I am your host, Paul Mayan, with Akau, who is currently touring. He's a South Sudanese comedian. So we'll get straight into it. Now that we've spoken about your come up, I want to talk about coming here and touring to Australia. How's that been?
It's been amazing for me, man. It's been one of those dreams that I've had for a very long time, because growing up, I've always wanted to come to Australia with my family and everything, but it never happened. And even as a stand-up comic, I've always wanted to do Melbourne International Comedy Festival. It was on my notes and all of that. And finally, I made it. Shout out to my cousin Imo. We actually met with Imo in New York last year, and he goes like, oh, you need to come to Perth. And I was like, how? And he's like, I got you, just come through. Like anything else you need, I got you. Accommodation, all sorts of things. Mind you, I'm from Africa, I've never come this side. And he painted the vision of what's going to look like to me. And I got the courage, and I just went, okay, I'm going to do it. All of it. I did Perth, I did Adelaide, I'm in Melbourne. I have my shows on the 21st and 22nd of April at Rubber Chicken. You can check them out on the Melbourne International Comedy Festival website. And yeah, that's how I made it here, man. It's been lovely. I've been here for 3 months now.
I love that. What was your first expression of Australia?
The first time I got here, I was like, there's enough space here for everyone. They should have let us in long time ago. I swear to God, that's literally what I thought. I looked at the place, like, even when I was driving from Adelaide to Melbourne, there's so much space in this country. I don't know why they deny us visas. Just let us in. But I like it, man. It's nice people, good people, to be honest. good weather in Perth, the same as the Juba weather, hot as well, and yeah, I loved it.
I love that. And I know Emo's been busy as well. We've seen him touring.
Yeah.
Has he got the chance to take you to somewhere he enjoys or he loves in Melbourne or Australia or in Perth or Adelaide?
Oh, in Perth, yeah.
Where did he take you?
A couple of spots I can't say online, I must say. yeah, a couple of spots I can't say online. But all you have to know, they were great. They were amazing spots. He's my cousin. He will hook me up anytime.
Yeah.
He will make sure I'm safe. But I think I love being with people, I love hanging out with people, and the best thing he did for me is to make sure that everywhere he goes, he takes me with him. All the comedians, some of the biggest names in this country, hanged out with them and all of that, introduced me to so many people. And yeah, it has been a great feeling. And Nando's, he was the first guy to take me to Nando's. Never been to Nando's.
All I see on his stories is Nando's.
Yeah, he loves Nando's.
What's your favorite thing about Australia?
Australians are a little bit welcoming, a little bit more. Because I was in America a few months ago. It was wild, especially in New York. And I like this about Melbourne as well. Melbourne is it's more multicultural,
That's
like
nice.
so many types of people and all of that. Nicer people, the food, everything you need, you can find it here. It feels like home for me. Like the past few weeks, I've been like, I'm home. Because I can find everything I need wherever I want to go. Yeah.
I love that, and you are here touring. So let us know, how could people find you? When's your next show? How can we find you? How can we catch your next show?
Next show is Friday and Saturday on the 21st and 22nd of April. It's going to be the Rubber Chicken, and you can just look it up at Melbourne International Comedy Festival. The show is called Looking for a Visa. It tells my story as an African immigrant from the refugee camp doing stand-up and all of that. Just type Akau Jambo, looking for, Akau is spelled as AKAU, looking for a visa, you'll find me. I'll be out there, just my dreads and my smile and everything. Can't miss me.
I love that. And before we do wrap up, there's a lot of upcoming comedians now. I know you and Emo have paved the way for a lot of young people. I know a few we've mentioned earlier before. What advice do you have for young comedians who...
My advice would be, one of my favorite quotes, I came across it a couple weeks ago. I love it so much. The quote goes like, I forgot who quoted that. It goes like, there are three types of men. There are those who have something to live for, those who have something to die for, and those who have something to kill for. So basically, it's purpose. If you find a purpose, if you find your purpose in yourself, in your voice, you're going to have a good time. It doesn't matter how he does it or how the other person does it and all of that. Your purpose should always be yours alone and different, and you go for it. Imo and I are tight brothers and all of that. He has a different purpose, I have a different purpose. And we stay on the same track because we're chasing something different. It's the same field we're in, but we're chasing something different. I'll never feel bad about what he's achieving, and he'll never feel bad about what I'm achieving in return. And that helps us survive as a community. Most of the times we want to see, I want to jump onto your purpose and say, I want to do what he's doing, but I don't know why you're doing it. Well, what's your goal? What are you trying to get out of it? If I have a different one, I'll be happy you're there. Be very happy you're there. Or even find out how you can get me to mine. So that's all I can tell you, man. If you want to do something, just find why you want to do it. Find yourself. You're going to enjoy it.
I love that.
Thank you. I'm always smart after 8 p.m. All the wisdom comes up at this time. Is it 8 yet? Yeah. All the wisdom just comes out.
No, I love that. I learned so much, honestly, and I'm so glad that we got the chance to sit down because I'd met up with you for the first time on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad we were able to sit down and have this conversation before you head back to Juba.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, man.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
Well, there you go. I loved it. Thank you so much, and it was a blessing, man.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
Yeah.
You have, everyone that was watching, thank you so much for watching. My name is Akau Jambo.
There you go. Well, there you go, guys. Thank you so much for watching and tuning in once again. That was Akau Jambo. It's going to be off to Juba anytime soon now. So if you get the chance to check him out, please do. There will be links somewhere. I'm not sure where, but we'll figure that out. But thank you guys so much once again. I'll see you guys next time.